What's up, fellas? Today, I'm going to show you a concept that are words that get sex on the table. These are words I use to make sure the conversation becomes man and woman and goes in the proper direction consistently or needy without giving your power away or being needy. And it gets you out of those 30-minute conversations to fucking nowhere. All right, so this is something good to get you going. But if you really want to go to the next level, you need to hit me up on Patreon, Skype, do super chats, and send me some PayPal donations, and I'll fucking get up in your shit and fix your world quick. All right. Let's talk about words that sex. And this is a concept I got from a book entitled Words That Sell. Now, the idea behind it is there's certain words and phrases that you can use that'll make somebody want to buy, and certain words and phrases you can use that can make someone not want to buy. So, for example, if you say, please sign that contract, that's kind of frightening. But if you say, would you like to put your acknowledgement on that agreement, that's less scary. If you say to someone, would you like to buy that right now, that's a little scary. But if you say, if you'd like to get started on that investment, that's less scary. So there's better way of phrasing things that'll get you better results. And this idea maps directly onto game. So, for example, if you were to say, hey, let's go back to my place, that's a big scary red flag for a girl. If you see something along the lines of, I know a quiet place where you can drink, that's a lot more acceptable to a girl. So, it maps directly as a sales concept, but there's actually a much more important, much more effective and deeper implication of this idea of words that sell, words that sex, and that is the subtle words that you use that can set the tone of any interaction. For example, if you're talking to a girl and you're calling her things like nice, sweet, comfortable, trustworthy,
take the next right on Fulton Street,
beautiful, hot, those kind of words are going to set the tone. Whereas if you use other words, even if there are other words that are in the negative, things that words like feisty, mischievous, dangerous, sensual, sexy, hot, those words are indicating a sexual nature, but you want to be careful about giving your power away and being needy and showing attraction. The choice of the words you're going to use is going to use a lot to set the tone. And so many girls, when they're talking to a girl, their biggest motivation, their biggest idea in the set is to try to avoid embarrassment and avoid a negative reaction. So what they're doing over and over again is playing safe, trying to avoid a negative reaction, trying to reduce the sexual tension. A lot of guys, when they feel sexual tension in an interaction, they'll say, "Hot, just kidding," and back off and get away from it because they feel like they're walking a tightrope. What you actually want to do is create sexual tension. This is what a lot of guys do wrong. They don't establish the man and woman premise in the set, and they're not creating sexual tension, they're actually destroying it. So again, words like devious, mischievous, trouble, sexy, adventurous, naughty, those kind of words definitely convey a much more sexual tone to the set. Now, if you were to suddenly start using those words with a girl, you're going to be suddenly taking more risk, you're going to be setting a better tone. She'll probably find you a much more subtle interaction. This works great for a girl by herself, but where it really works and where I see a guy consistently and terribly misuse it is when you talk to girls in groups. Okay, there's this idea that when you talk to girls in groups, you have to be talking and have the attention of the girl that you like, but at the same time you have to keep the other girls engaged, or we'll drag her away and get pissed off and jokes or whatever it is. So in practice, what you actually want to do is talk as much with friends, at least early on, as the girl you're into. The problem is, if you're talking as much or more to the friends, how is it possible that you convey to the girls or the friends which one of the girls that you're into? So a lot of guys just go to talk to the group, and they wind up getting chosen by the ones they're not attractive to. And now, all of a sudden, they stop fucking flirting with the girl they weren't intending to flirt. So how do they choose? How do you talk to the friends, keep them engaged, and at the same time choose to indicate who you're interested in? Well, it's not about the quantity of talk, it's about the quality of talk. And specifically, it's about using words that equal sex on your target. So, again, to the friends, you guys are so nice, you're my buddies, you're my friends, you're trustworthy. You can even say, I love you guys, because you're saying it in a friendly way. To the other girl, the girl that you want, you're going to maybe even say negative words, but they are words that indicate a sexual interaction. Mischievous, devious, animated, crazy, wild, a little bit more body, a little bit more sexual and sensual in nature. All right, so you are indicating the difference. Now, I've kind of mentioned this before when I talked about premise, but it's a good thing to talk about again. It's almost like for the friends, you assume that you have a company and you're offering jobs. Now, for the friends, it's almost like, hey, I'll give you a job in my mailroom. I'll give you a job, you're accepted, you're well liked, but you're liked in this very limited capacity for the girl you're into, your target. Then you're like, hey, there's this executive level position, but you're probably not going to fucking get it. It's actually a compliment to her and the fact that she's being considered for that higher position, but at the same time, she doesn't want anything yet. So it's creating all this tension, it's creating desire for that tension. But there's this intention that there's certain words that will create tension and certain words that will dispel it. Is very, very critical. Also, behind it is the idea that you want to be creating sexual tension. You want to be going out of your way to manufacture it, as opposed to going out of your way to make things safe and safe and comfortable and nice. Unsex, words like dangerous, risky, mischievous, animated, on the edge, edgelord, those kind of phrases. Sex. All right. Those ideas are the words that, in the more less overtly sex-based it is, the better. Because you just start bringing up sex too hard, it kind of looks a little weird. Intent is a huge, huge concept in game, and what I've seen over the last 20, 30 years. And one of the biggest paradoxes in game is, how do I show interest without being needy? The actual interest is you don't show interest. What you do is you establish permanence and a plot and a storyline. You establish the sexual nature. You establish premise with sex and then tie it into a storyline, a plotline. It does not mean you need to give your power away, and it certainly does not mean you need to be needy. So this unravels one of the biggest paradoxes in game in a very, very subtle way, in a way that's not obvious. All right, when you say to a girl that I really like you as a way of showing interest, power gone, neediness super high. When you say, oh, you're kind of dangerous, I'm not sure we're going to get along, you have established that the interaction is about you getting along. And you can use this word sex, that's edgy. You know, when I'm talking, you can hear that bass in my voice, like I'm balls deep with a big, thick cock inside her. You don't give that power away. These subtle years are very, very useful. And these subtle words are one of the many features inside the toolkit I provided, make you a 5-tool player. Words that you can specifically use to do yoga properly, to establish rhythms, to evaluate the road, establish that narrative, and in closing, so that you are doing this. Words that sex and words that don't your power away. Obviously, this is just the tip of the iceberg with respect to what's inside the toolkit. And hit up the link in the description. Get at me. I'm not hard to get a hold of if you come with something strong. All right? Now, if we're talking about text game, gentlemen, and for my lesbian clients out there, when I created the text games, I was a little bit perplexed as to how to teach it. And usually when I teach, I want to teach the exact reason why as opposed to the how, because the why controls the how. However, with texting, what I also want to do is teach you the thing that'll get you the biggest result from the most people as fast as possible. And so I decided to leave with that. So the things that I see wrong in that most guys text game that I coach is the following. They don't know where they're at in the interaction. They don't know if the girl really likes them and it's time to make plans, or they don't know if it's fading and they need to recover. So the most important thing I can give you right up front in a text toolkit is a way of knowing exactly where you're at and exactly what to do next, and that's what I'm going to give you here. All right, what I'm going to basically tell you is this. Every single text you ever received, it all falls into the category of one of 4 different types of text. There's only 4 different types of text you've ever received. Those 4 types of texts are silence, a shit test, something sort of logical or platonic, and number 4, something that's
is on the left.
clearly positive. Every single text you've received has fallen into some of this, one of those 4 categories. And occasionally it'll fall into one now. The fuck out of there, bro. What a fucking great. Okay, so if a girl's giving you silence, she's not that bought in yet. and you have work to do. If she's giving you something clearly positive, you have work to do, and you're getting plans. If you're in the middle getting shit tests, you're getting something logical, you're getting closer and closer to that positive element. All right, so here's what I'm going to tell you. Every single time you get a text, look at the text, and you can immediately categorize it. Which of the four areas is it? Or is it maybe two that are next to each other? But occasionally you get a shit test with like a logical question thrown in with it. Or you get a logical question with a positive, but it's one of those four or two that are next to each other every single time. Now do 100 push-ups and do 3 sets of 45-second leg lifts, bitch. And then we're going to throw in a new thing. Roll over on your side and do a leg lift. Do 1 set on each side of 45 seconds. So if things are going well, you need to close. And the mistake I see is things are going very badly, and they try to close every text, and she responds 3 days later with an answer, and the next thing they try to do is make plans, and that's almost never going to work because the girl ain't bought in. All right, good job on those fucking push-ups, boys. All right. Now, getting back to text game. All right. If a girl's giving you silence, she's not that bought in yet. All right. If she's giving you something clearly positive, things are pretty good. You should be making plans. And if in the middle you're getting shit tested, getting something logical, you're getting closer and closer to that positive element. All right. So here's what I'm going to tell you. Every single time you get a text, look at the text, and you can immediately categorize it as which of the four is these, or is it two that are close together? Occasionally you'll get a shit test with the logical close question thrown in it, or you get a shit test with the positive. It's usually one of those four every single time, or two that are close together. So based on that, the idea is the less things, if things aren't going well, you need to convey your personality, make it engaging, and do not make plans. If things are going well, then you need to close. The mistake I see is things are going badly. 3 days later with a one-word answer, the next thing she does is try to make plans. That's almost never going to work. The girl's not bought in enough for that. On the other hand, I'll see guys responding to girls so positively with the guys sending naked pictures of things like that when it's going positive, and they'll never attempt to close. So when you're texting, you need to be attempting to move things forward to a close. The end goal of texting is to get her off of the phone and get you balls deep. It's a lot easier to have sex off of the phone. I have not figured out how to have sex on the phone. I have fucking used a phone during sex, like a Bill Clinton cigar. So if it's not going well, what you need to do is hang value into the void. Say something fun and interesting, and most importantly, don't ask for nothing in return. So if she gave you silence, it's very likely that the next response from her will be silence. So if you send her something that's very needy, that requires this answer, but it gets silence, you massively hurt yourself in the text game. However, if you send something just fun and funny and interesting that doesn't require a response, more you're likely to get a response. And two, if you don't get a response, it's not as big a deal. So when I say pinging value into the void, don't become overly invested when she isn't invested. Ping value into the void. Send funny, fun, interesting, engaging messages that don't require silence. Memes are great for this sort of thing. And on a more advanced level, if there's some relevance to it, to the two of you, that's better. So, for example, I field tested this. If you send a girl a randomly cute photo of a cat, a lot of girls would respond to that. However, I wasn't able to turn a lot of those responses into days responding to a cat and not to you, or anything relevant between establishing value and confidence between the two of you and keeping her chasing your validation. So I always try to bring it back to those three things. An interesting tidbit of your life. Sometimes to a way more indirect degree than others, depending upon how negatively it's going. The more negative, the less indirect, the less direct. If it doesn't get a response, you just shared something cool with her, the same as you did on social media. Get around a social media text, and the fact that this works, and one of the reasons that social media is so powerful is because it's less invested in a way of doing the same thing. Now, very importantly, don't ask questions. Very importantly, don't try to make plans off of silence. Now, let's say you get a shit test. It's a little bit better than silence. And a shit test is much better than silence. Silence is the worst by far. A shit test is good. If a girl's giving you shit test, that means she's putting the time and effort into responding to you. She's putting the time and effort into responding to you. If she's shit testing you, it means she likes you. Girls are shit testing you. You should be able, the majority of the time. The majority of the shit test should be turnable into plans. The key thing with shit tests is just pass the fucking shit test. And that's it. Do not try to do more than that. Do not try to move the ball forward out of that. All right? Just get the first fucking down. The way you pass the shit test is to exaggerate, reframe, misinterpret, and when it's positive, you establishes your value. Now, once you pass the shit test, what you're basically doing is showing you're a cool, interesting guy. You're not too reactive to her. You don't get butthurt. You got a abundance mindset. You're fun and playful. Guys who mess this up, they mess it up by failing the shit test. But assuming they pass the shit test and then they mess it up by asking a question and trying to close, and that takes away all the power of what you just did. What you just did is show value that you're not needy. Now asking for plans shows you needy, bitch. a shit test made you not needy, bitch. We fuck these hoes to sleep, bitch. We don't fail shit tests, and then we don't pass the shit test and try to make plans. A lot of guys get worried and they pass the shit test, and if they think they didn't give a girl enough to respond to, like this illusion of action. But if you did a good job, you did. Remember what it feels like when a girl sends you something difficult and you don't know quite what to do with it, and you go, shit, what do I do? And you put it in your bag about it, you think about it, you obsess about it, and eventually you send something, you get sick, and you send something, you realize it was terrible. Girls go through that process too. I had many sisters, and if you occasionally put them on the spot and make things hard for them, you allow them to put it in and make it invested. If every single text you put in a question at the end, you're making it too easy to respond to, then they're never going to have a positive response. All right, now you can obviously go the other way. If the text is too bland and there's no reason to respond, then that's a problem too. So the key thing is to give them a reason to respond. And sometimes you can make it easy to respond. But especially on shit tests, you need to just pass the shit test, stand your ground, and trust that it's going to move. When you do that, you get some more responses. Radio silence and ghosting, instead of managing responses and trying to make sure you get a response back, it's just going to come across as needy. So if you get a shit test, just pass the shit test. Don't ask about the plans, don't try to clarify. And that's what's going to get you from a shit test to a logical conversation as something possible. That's when you really do business. When a girl's just conversing with you like friend to friend and really responding and adding to the conversation, or she's giving you positive things quickly, that's when you need to start making plans. That's what coffee's for closers. Now, obviously, we go to positive. When a girl's responding, start making plans. I didn't say make plans, I said start making plans. There's a huge distinction there. Don't miss it. A lot of guys, their way of making plans is let's do tacos and drinks Tuesday at this place, just out of the blue. That's a big problem. One, you haven't screened for if she's down for plans or how into it, if she's ready for that, and two, you don't know her schedule. So even if she wants to meet up with you, she's not ready for it. And then that engenders all sorts of doubt and weirdness in the relationship. So what I do for making plans is a multi-step sequence. And the same thing every time. Usually I start with a qualifier, and then a vague suggestion, and then a close. Qualifier, vague suggestion, close. QVC. QVC. Qualifier would be, are you an adventurous person? She says yes. What's your view on drinks and witty banter? She responds with vague suggestion, drinks and witty banter. And then 3, find out his schedule, and then close. Qualifier, vague suggestion, qualifier, vague suggestion, schedule, close. QVSC, QVSC, qualifier, vague suggestion, schedule, close. Qualifier, vague suggestion, schedule, close. Also, if you are getting positive, sometimes when you're making plans, you can act the phone as a phone, which is a novel concept in 2018. You can use the phone as a phone, and you can pick it up and actually call it. Because if she is responding very positively, it's likely that she will pick up the phone, especially if she just texted you, because she knows that you know that you're on the phone. So that's a useful thing. You can make positive plans that way. Now let's talk about the area that's kind of like the finesse area, which is if you get in a logical or just conversational
Use the left 2 lanes to turn slightly left to stay on Golf Street.
Now, how was your weekend? A lot of guys have trouble with that. First of all, it's positive. It's not just conversation, it's a positive. She's spending time and energy to text you. If she's doing that, she likes you. So the fun
Use the left 2 lanes to turn slightly left
assumption
to
is she
stay on
does
Golf
like you.
Street.
Remember that at all times. Now, what you're going to do with this is one of 2 things. You're going to respond back to the question in a logical, very briefly, and then try to do something,
Left 2 lanes to turn left onto
put some
13th
shit
Street.
to it, and then if the conversation's just started, or if the conversation was rocky at first, or if you're just having a logical conversation point. It's there, you want to respond to the logical, but make sure it's not planned. Respond to the logical with a little banter, a little cocky and fun. Just add just a little tiny bit of flotation. Careful trying to add value and confidence there. Just logical, respond with logical and banter. All right? What's seductive? If it's been logical for a few texts where it's been generally positive and now it's logical, a lot of times there you can still go ahead and make plans. So even if it's in that logical question,
Use the left 2 lanes to turn
about
left
not
onto
just the last
16th
text,
Street.
but the overall context of the situation. And then think, is it more positive or more negative? If it's more negative, start creating the banter, ping value and confident to it. If it's more positive, then move towards a close, but move even closer than you typically would close. QVPC. If you get a positive nudge in the right direction, whether that is bot, banter, or close. And if it's positive, get down to the close, not in one text, but over a series of texts. So what do you have now? What you have now is this. Every single time that you receive a text, you're going to know where you're at and you're going to know how to respond to it. And by the way, even if things were very, very positive and you're about to make plans and all of a sudden she's shit testing you, stop trying to make the plans. The last text she made is a shit test. Just pass the shit test, let it escalate, give us a radio silence. That'll build attraction, demonstrate value, and lack of scarcity. So that's what you do. You want to find out in the interaction where you're at, and then you'll know where to go. In general, about 90 to 95% of the time, this is going to guide you very well. Over the course of the rest of the and all the lessons that I'm going to teach you, I'm going to talk about a lot of specific situations that come up. I'm going to talk about how to implement this really, really well and how to put this on overdrive. And the one thing that I will caution you, you will see in this video before, and you have seen some of the others, is understand this as a guide, but don't be completely.
Continue for 3/4
Right,
of
so
a
what I
mile.
see is a lot of guys when you learn this, they learn that when you receive silence, that means you have to go back to the drawing board and offer value. You probably shouldn't even try to offer comfort that much. It is true if you messed up, it's in a bad text and got silence, especially if it's in rocky text and you got silence. However, you've been texting this couple months and months and months, and it's been really positive, and she fucking loves you. And maybe she's been telling you to meet her up when you come to her city, and you come into a city, and then she goes silent on one text. That doesn't mean you have to go all the way back to the drawing board. At that point, you got to say, look, at the whole interaction has been largely positive. The last interaction before the silence was positive. So maybe there you can be a little entitled and just understand that you deserve a response. Okay? Don't ever get butthurt. Don't ever let them see you butthurt. But check them without being butthurt. That being said, if your logic and your intuition and the text is sending is telling you that the text you're sending is stupid, trust your intuition as well. Okay, so these are the 4 types of text. Every text will fall into it, 85 to 90%. Knowing what text it is will tell you how to respond to it. But if it seems like the answer is stupid, or it seems like the last text was completely out of context of the rest of the conversation, you need to take that with a grain of salt and don't be completely black and white in your thinking. That's a good primer, and the text that you're going to be thinking. As we go forward, I'm going to explain to you the overall strategy that goes with texting. And basically, every single in and out, and all these kinds of specific cases, and how to implement this so that you're getting really, really consistent results. Remember, it's just because you're in silence doesn't mean it's over. And if you are getting silence, if you get anything better than silence, you should be able to turn it into a date the majority of the time, because these females ain't about wasting your fucking time. You know, they only got so many holes, so many hours in a day, and they want as many texts as they can, but you gotta fucking follow the process and meet their minimum requirements, okay? These girls are freaky, boss. Trust me. We can talk about why trying to show too much value in an obvious way is killing your fucking game. All right? It's a phenomenon I've seen in the pickup community over the last 5 or 10 years, and this is what I call, trying to show too much value. Some people call it flash game. It's really interesting. You think that now there's a lot of infield footage out there, now that there's a lot of pickup game out there, people should be getting dramatically better, but one of the single reasons that people aren't is one of these things that I call flash game. It's a type of game that looks really good on camera. It's good for marketing, it's really showy, but it doesn't actually get results. How do I know it doesn't get results? One, I've known a lot of people that do it, and I've seen what happens. And two, I've seen generally what students are getting out of it. And three, on a practical, sort of theoretical level, it can't possibly get any results in the real world because it violates a bunch of the general premises of what is effective game and what is effective pickup.